What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the EJ coupe a little bit more, and I'm hoping by the end of this video the car should be ready to go home. I hope you guys enjoyed the EJ coupe series up to this point. If you guys did, man, be sure to drop a thumbs up for me, man, because it helps me out more than you guys know. A couple of videos ago, I sold my green LS VTEC CRX to a buddy of mine, which he wanted it for the swap, and he already got that engine into his hatchback, his EF hatch, to get ready for track tomorrow in Sonoma. The CRX has an OBD1 single cam VTEC motor in it. It's running and driving already. This guy, he works super fast, but he came by last night, dropped off my wheels that was on the car because my steelies didn't fit the big brakes that was on there. So he delivered this back to me. I hung out with him last night, as well as the owner of this car, the homie Bernie, to about 3 o'clock last night. And you know, we was out here pretty late. I had to go inside, edit a super long video, which then I slept at 7:30, and now I'm out here super late. Sun's about to set in about 2 or 3 hours right there, and you guys kind of know how it goes here on the channel already, man. But that is why this light is here. Bernie came over to drop off the fender that he had in his trunk, so we installed this last night at about 1 o'clock and got it all aligned. This is aftermarket. This is I think Tony Yang fender, and not shabby for an aftermarket piece. We still have the bumper and the front lip to install. Probably going to do that at the end of the day, but I've been waiting for this package to show up right here. This is from the homie Brian at BRFITTINGS. Link in the description below. This is literally my plug for all my fuel fitting needs, and he also has a bunch of other miscellaneous stuff too. S300 ECUs, turbos, radiators, just a bunch of random things that he posts on his Instagram, so be sure to check it out. This contains all of my fuel fittings that I need to finish up the fuel system in my all-wheel drive CRX, and also the clutch line we need for this car, so we can finally move this thing back and forth on and off the driveway. So I'm not going to tuck you guys' ears off. Let's go ahead and install the clutch line and bleed it out. We have the stainless steel banjo fitting with a 45-3 end, and this goes straight onto the clutch masters. Aim this in a position you want it to go before you tighten it down. I'm probably going to point it about right there, something like that. Both end of the clutch line is 45, so it doesn't matter which side I use. But I'm going to go ahead and just put this on. We have this fitting right here that goes onto the sleeve. All right, here's our line. Already routed nice and clean from the back of the block over the transmission. All right, let's go ahead and bleed this thing out. No bleeder line, so I'm gonna go step on the clutch to see if this guy is moving. Now, because I can't see it, I'm gonna play it back on my phone. Oh yeah, that is moving. We are good. We should be able to put this thing into gear and move the car off the driveway so we can back it up and do the exhaust system. So before I brought the bleeder out, my brother and his friend had just came home, and he gave me a box of like Famous Dave. So I was eating barbecue a little bit, talking with the homies, and then my neighbor needed some help with his car, so I went over there to help him with a coolant leak, and I went inside to take a number 2, came back out, and we lost the daylight. Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. All right, guys, so we have the battery hooked up, and I'm gonna fire this car over and immediately move it backwards because, one, the alternator is not plugged up. Secondly, we are on a full charge battery, and I don't want to get the car too hot to mess with the exhaust system. Well, that wouldn't make sense anyways because there is no exhaust system. So we have the car up on jack stands. We have everything clean out of the trunk, including the bumper and the front lip. So the exhaust system we're going to be using on this car is made by Yonaka. If you guys remember the EG B18C swap we did on the channel a couple of months ago, we used a Yonaka exhaust on that car, 2.5 inch, and it sounded freaking beautiful. Not only that, if you guys go a couple of years back into the channel, we had a B20 VTEC EK hatchback that also had a full 3-inch Yonaka exhaust, and that car also sounds freaking amazing. He asked me what kind of exhaust he should run, and I was like, Yonaka has been pretty good right out of the box, made to fit the car. And he found this on Facebook for a really good deal, and this is for an EK coupe. The only thing about this exhaust system is that it's a full 3-inch. Now, somebody had this on their car, probably all motor, and had it step down to 2.5 right here, which then goes to the header. So it's fortunate that we have that piece, because we're gonna have to step it down to 2.5 for the header, because it does have a 2.5 outlet donut flange, and that's actually the only thing I don't have is the donut flange, which I ordered. And if it doesn't show up, then I might have to go to the homie KELLYBUILT's house to grab one from him, because he does have one. The 3-inch, it's not gonna sound too crazy on an all motor B, but I think with a resonator, which is this piece here that he didn't buy with the car, he had this. We're gonna add a resonator in hopes of toning down the rasp, and then just have it a really nice deep tone. But I know that Yonaka muffler itself is already nice and quiet, so I'm not worried about it being a full 3-inch. I think in the long run this is going to work out, because he does have a fully built piston rod built head B20 VTEC that's going to go into this car once you get it back from the engine builder. If you guys know LDL from Vegas, that's who's putting the motor together. So the 3-inch exhaust system, it's going to work for the setup perfectly fine. And the first thing I'm going to get to here is installing the back muffler, and then working our way to the mid pipe, and then the center section. Then we do the resonator last, because we don't have the flange. So let's get to work. I'm sorry for the low lighting, guys, because I parked literally all the way up to the garage, and I do have my snap-on light right there to shine down low. But first thing I'm going to do is install this muffler, and then we'll work our way to the mid and then to the header. He did provide 4 rubber hangers. These still feel pretty firm. Should be Gucci. I had a comment that somebody said, damn, Static is sleeved up. Have you guys not known that I've had an arm sleeve? Were you guys today years old? Guys, make sure you lubricate the freaking bushing. Don't ever go in dry. Now, because we only have one gasket for the 2-bolt 3-inch flange, I'm going to use it underneath the car for the mid pipe, and leave this one without one, because once he gets a new one, it'll be easier to just change the one right here behind the wheel than to jack up the entire car to go underneath to change it on the mid pipe. So I'm gonna go raw on this one. You guys probably can't see this, but there's a hanger rod right there, and there's no way I'm able to put a bushing, because like there's no gap. Wait, that's weird. This car only has one rod for a bushing on the driver's side, but nothing on the passenger. Huh. Cool. So we have Axleback and mid pipe installed, and we might be cutting it pretty close with the resonator, because we don't have enough space between both flanges. So underneath the car, I measured the transition, and that is 2.5 inches, plus the gap between the flange to the donut flange on the header. It's 9.5, which gives us about a foot of you know, gap that we need to fill in. So I have this ultra quiet resonator that I had in my wagon a long time ago, and when the car was all motor, this really toned it down. But when I went turbo is kind of its own silencer, so I didn't need this. I took it off, kind of just sat around for a little while because you can see all the dust and dirt on it. So this is an eBay resonator, and I remember having an eBay resonator on my red all-wheel drive CRX. It didn't really tone down the rasp at all, and I didn't want to do all the work for this to not work. Plus it's super long. So with this muffler section right here, we have 9 7/8 and 2.5 on top of that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be close to that 1 foot mark. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to cut the transition. I'm going to add it to this. I'm going to cut these ends off, make it clean, add it to this, and try to get it to be close to 12 inches, but also compensating the flange that we still currently don't have, the 2.5. It sounds confusing when you explain it without actually showing it. So let me do some more measurements, take some stuff off, and see what we really come up with. Okay guys, so I've got the resonator and stuff all welded up with the flanges and everything, and I'm still missing the donut flange that goes to the header. I hit up Kel. Kel is at a basketball game. It's not going to be free until like 3 more hours. So I'm really just trying to make some progress, and I went to the backyard to see if I had anything because I have a lot of exhaust back there. Let me show you what I found. So obviously I have a bunch of exhaust system from like previous cars and stuff, and none of these have 2.5 flange that I can use. And then I was like, I have an RSX exhaust down there from the parts car I bought a couple years ago, and that flange looks like a 2.5. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut that off, because this thing has been sitting here for like 5 years. I don't think I'm ever gonna use it. I cut the flange off the exhaust system, cleaned it up right here, smooth it out. And this is the transition that we had that was on the exhaust system. I took it off, chopped it up, and the other side of the flange is right here. I'm not going to be using that. And what I'm going to do here is just put this taper onto the donut flange. I've already test fitted this into the car. Bolt hole lines up, and it looks like it'll seal after we bolt it down. So transition goes on top, right? And then this transition goes into the resonator 3-inch side right there. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and double check the length of the entire unit to make sure we don't exceed 13 inches. This is about 1 7/8. So let's just say 2. Let's just say 2. And then the overall length of this here, 2, 11.5. Okay, that's 13.5. 13.5 is okay because you can still shift the exhaust backwards towards the back of the car to get some more room out of it, right? But I also could just slip this in, so that way, you know what I'm saying, kind of compensate that length, that extra length. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to weld this to the flange, tack it, put this on here, tack it, test fit it into the car. If it looks good, we weld it all the way up. So we have the transition and the flange all welded up. There was more gaps in between this than SpongeBob's teeth, but regardless, we got it all filled in. I went back over it a second time with pulse just to make it look nice and uniform. Not gonna lie, it wasn't the prettiest beforehand, but now it looks nice and decent, and it is ready to go back on. When I test fitted this into the car, the header was like more to the driver's side, where the exhaust was more to the passenger. So when I got it all nice and lined up, it is kind of clocked right here on the flange. I don't know if you guys can see that. Right there, you can kind of see it, but regardless, after I tacked it in, I went to go test fit it, and it sits nice and flushed on the donut and the exhaust. So as long as it's sealed and it does the job, it's gonna work. I'm just as curious as you guys are, so I'm gonna turn the car on for a little bit just to see how it sounds like and shut it off, because the car is pointed into the garage. So let's fire it up. That is actually pretty quiet inside the car. I'm stoked. We'll bend it up tomorrow, guys. We'll pull it out to the street and let you guys really hear how the Yonaka exhaust GSR swap sounds like. All right, guys, so super late start in the day, but I spent some time to adjust the ride height. I like it. I like where it's sitting at. It's about 1.5 in the rear and 1 finger in the front. Just enough rake that I like. And man, just moving it off the driveway, dude. Yonaka exhaust system, ultra quiet resonator, super quiet inside the car. You can hear it deep on the outside if the windows rolled down, but with you inside the car, windows rolled up, it's really quiet. So car is not really staying on itself because we still don't have the alternator hooked up. Battery, I don't know the life on the battery. I did see a check engine light. I'm gonna have to hook up the laptop to figure that out, but aside from that, we got the car all fours, suspension, exhaust. Dude, show you guys one more time. GSR swap. The intake sounds really good. Yeah, dude, I just wanted to show you guys this off the driveway. Hopefully you guys can get an idea of how the exhaust sounds on the outside. Super quiet inside the car. I can whisper and you guys can still hear me. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing back up on the driveway, do a quick little loop since we are running on battery only. Oh, Bernie, you're gonna love this car, man. Uh-oh. Get it on the driveway. Oh, and it died. Can we make it? Ah, we're like 2 feet short. Oh, come on. All right, right there. I was gonna put the bumper onto the car today and the front lip, but we're still missing the bracketry and stuff, and I need to go to the pick and pull to grab everything else we need to like finalize this car. So probably gonna do that tomorrow or something, and really just button this car up and have it on its way home. All I wanted to do in this video was install the Yonaka exhaust system, modify the section that goes to the header, which we put a resonator in place, adjust the back ride height and the outer tie rods just a little bit. It didn't feel like it was fighting at all, but this car still needs to go to alignment at the end of the day anyways, so hopefully we can take care of that once the car rolls off the driveway. So we're gonna wrap it up for right here. I hope you guys enjoyed the progress update on this car, and if you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. If you guys want to stick around and see the finalization of this car with the front end, everything ready to go home in the next video, hopefully, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.